Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys we're going to talk about a topic or go back to revisit I guess you could say a category that I used to do on this channel about a year ago. I've done it for a long time, but during the summertime I always seem to find myself with a little bit more time, and I focus a lot more on this topic because I can think about it and think through my process, make a good video, I guess you could say, and come up with a good thing to discuss about. And I have some notes in front of me here, so I do apologize if I look down at my notes. But today's topic, to become a better Yu-Gi-Oh player, is something that I think a lot of players really don't talk about, but it's very important. And that's learning from your misplays. Now, a lot of players out there, and I will be guilty of it sometimes as well, just say if they lost the game, oh, it's because I drew a bad hand. It's because you're playing a top tier deck. Who plays that deck? Who pilots that deck? You, correct? Don't blame your deck, okay? Your deck didn't do anything wrong. It may have got cloggy, it may have given you a brick hand, and some decks do that, and that just happens. The only thing I can say to that is power shuffle your deck after every game. It really cuts down on clogginess in decks. But it's very important, and for playing games, many Yu-Gi-Oh games and watching players play, it's usually a misread that somebody makes, or a misplay or miscalculation somebody makes that causes them to lose the duel most of the time. Especially when you have a competitive deck versus another good competitive deck, or a meta deck versus a meta deck. If somebody makes that one misplay, that's how they lose. And they just say, oh, it's because you're playing a better deck than I am. No, that's not the case. You made a misplay. And you need to learn from those mistakes so you can become a better player. Not just brush them off and say, it was because of this reason. No, that's not what a good player does. You learn from your mistakes so you do not make that mistake again. Thus, you start to become a better player from experience, learning from what you did wrong the first time so you do not repeat. Players that make, if you do not learn from your mistakes, you are doomed to repeat those mistakes again and again and again and again. It's like a tire that gets stuck in a bunch of mud. That tire keeps spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning. But if you get out and push that truck and you learn that that's not going to work, just keep spinning your wheels, you'll get out of that rut and you'll keep moving on, to the next goal, I guess you could say. That's what I'm trying to say here. Learn from your mistakes. Learn, how to make better reads in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh, which is a different topic for a different day, but learn, how other decks work, how other decks function, all these little things that I've talked about in the past. Learning other competitive decks. What do they do? How do they work? What are their tech choices? What are they playing right now? How is this player playing? From game one, what did you learn? Did he play a lot of traps? Did he play a lot of monsters? How is his playing style? What type of build is he playing? He could be playing regular monarchs, or he could be playing, monarchs with extra deck. What is he doing? You have to learn from that so you can take that into game 2 and 3, hopefully, and beat his butt. But you have to learn from your mistakes. You have to learn from that. You don't just brush it off. I'm not joking. This is something that I've really seen happen so many times, and it irritates me, and I do it too. I've done it too, and I'll be the first to admit it. And it took me time to finally understand and grow up and say, it's not my deck's fault all the time. It's because I made a misplay. And how do you cut back on your misplays? How do we stop this from happening again? Number one, admit to yourself that you made a mistake openly. There's been many times where I'll be like, after a duel was done, if I'm just playing for fun, whatever, I'll be like, and I lost, or my opponent lost, I'll be like, this was the critical point where you made this, you miscalculated, and thus this is how I won the duel. I capitalized on it. Because usually, in many, many duels, unless you get a bad hand, or your opponent has every single out for your plays, I guess you could say, and that does happen. You have a great hand, but your opponent has all the counters to that, those plays that you have in your hand. It happens. It's Yu-Gi-Oh. But saying that, a lot of times what I find happens is you'll be playing a duel, and you get to this point in the duel where it's that turn. And what do I mean by that turn? Whoever makes the proper play or somebody makes a little mistake, causes them to lose the duel. They make a miscalculation, they overthink something, they overanalyze something, they think that you would go for this instead of going for that, or they think they use a trap card that they should have used on this other monster instead of that monster that you summoned that turn. You get what I'm trying to say. There comes that critical point that, that eventually, somebody makes a mistake. And in a way, and I've heard players say this before in the past, and I partially agree with it. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the game where whoever makes the least mistakes usually wins the duel. It's a game of mistakes. Whoever makes the least of them wins the duel. It's really true, and you shouldn't always, say to yourself, oh, if I had made this play, then that would have happened. Or if I had, made this Cyber Dragon Infinity, then you would have lost the duel. Well, how would you have made that? That was like 3-4 cards away. Don't do that to yourself. Look at what you had in your hand and say, and pretty much have a, how like a football player or a sports player, looks at footage of how they did at a game. Well, what did they do? And you look back and say, okay, I missed a tackle there. That was because I did not make proper, I did not do proper tackling form. I'm using football terminology in America, that is, I didn't make a proper tackle, I didn't see that he was over there, I wasn't aware of my surroundings, that he had the football over there, I messed up. Next time, what do you do instead? You say, okay, you look at your surroundings, you try to learn from it and become a better player. And the ways you can do that is from playing Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot. And I know I'm kind of going back and forth talking here, but I hope it's very helpful to players out there. What you can do is you can literally just play more Yu-Gi-Oh! And learn from your mistakes. But, like I said, you can keep playing the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Over and over again, but if you're not learning from your mistakes, then you're just playing a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Really. And maybe learning stuff, but you're not going to learn from your mistakes, which is the point of this video. So when you play a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! You need to look back at each game as best as possible, because like I said, sometimes you have brick hands, sometimes just things don't go your way. But those ones that you lose and you could have won, you literally need to say to yourself, where did I screw up? Where did I make this miscalculation? Was I overthinking? Did I make the wrong play? Did I activate the card now at the proper time? What happened? It could be as simple as you didn't understand a ruling and you messed up. Learn from that so you can take it into the next game. That's what practicing online and in real life is good about Yu-Gi-Oh! You can practice. That's literally what it is. It's practice so you can become a better player. And once you learn from your misplays and you understand what you did wrong, you as a player will grow and you become a better player overall, I feel like. And that's one way how I became a better player, and that's one way I know a lot of players that I consider good players out there, they learn. And a lot of players that have been playing this game for a long time will tell you this is very true. Once you learn to you learn to get through your mistakes, you learn from your mistakes. And I'm not talking about a certain deck or anything. I'm just talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! In general. Yes, you have to learn all these basic other skills. And you may be great at everything. You may be a great deck builder. But if you do not learn from your mistakes, you will not succeed consistently at a high level for a long period of time. Be it casual, competitive, whatever. It doesn't matter. Learn from your mistakes, thus you can become a better player. It's really true, and I can't emphasize it enough. It may sound simple, it may sound true, but I can't tell you how many times people do not do this. And I learned it from doing sports and everything. That's how I pretty much started to apply it to Yu-Gi-Oh! Sun Tzu's Art of War, playing sports. This is how I learned to become a better player. I took life, what I learned from life, and tried to apply it to Yu-Gi-Oh! And it works out pretty well for me, I would say. And it works out for a lot of players that I've tried to talk to about it. They seem to take away from it and learn from it. So yes, that's what we're going to talk about today. Learn from your mistakes. When you lose a duel, learn where you went wrong, what you did wrong. Try not to let it happen again. If you make a mistake in practicing games, that's fine, but you gotta learn from it. Don't just say, it's because of this, or because of this. Maybe it was as simple as you weren't paying attention to the duel. It could be that. I mean, that's been one thing I've always done, My mind's on this, my mind's on that, my mind's on my girlfriend, my mind's on my brother, my mind's on food, I'm hungry. I'm not concentrating enough. It's simple as that. It could be simple things like that. It could be you just miscalculated a play. You weren't thinking. Your mind wasn't on the game. It's things like this that cause you sometimes to lose a duel, and it's not always because it's your deck. Word for the wise and just some food for thought, guys. But till next time, guys, take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling, and I'll see all you guys next time. Take care, everybody.